Do you need encouragement to turn tragedies into your own triumphant life story? If so, this podcast is for you. Listen to powerful guests who have persevered through challenges so you can gain strength to build your championship life. The host of Professor of Perseverance podcast, Dr. James Perdue.
Hey, come on in. It's time to get some inspiration, fire me up, get some motivation, get something out of this podcast. Again, grab you a gold nugget. Usually there's more than one in there, but get you 3 or 4, but get that one good one that's going to help you get through your next trial or tribulation, your next challenge, your next difficulty, your next hardship. And as I say before, don't take it to the grave with you. It's no good. Pay it forward. Give it to someone else to help them get through their difficulties. All right, today on the show, we're going to talk with Steve Gamlin. And he says when he was 11, he wanted to become a radio DJ, author, stand-up comedian, and teacher of people. Okay. And then something went right through life. And he said it took him a $3 bucket of golf balls standing in a thunderstorm to get back on path. All right, let's go and get started here. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Hey there, James. Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to our conversation.
I can tell you got that radio voice.
And I always jokingly say, it's a darn shame I didn't have this voice back when I was in radio because I had no confidence in my voice. I didn't even get on a microphone as a DJ until year 8 out of 10. And only then because I had to.
There you go.
Scared to death.
I remember I got into radio when I went to college, but the only reason I did it, of course, I don't know how much you know of me, but I got my neck broke. I was 2 weeks into college.
Ooh.
Playing a pickup game of football. A guy hit me and broke my neck. And then a few years later, I went back to a different college, one in town. And I heard a friend of mine on the college radio station that I went to school with. And I was going, hey, man, what's he doing? So I would go up there. He'd only do Saturday nights. And so I'd go up there. The next thing I knew, he had me at a gig with him. And I played some like drunk homeless dude or something, hey man, was far out, man, what's the one, and doing all that, and so, but then I started going, hey, shoot, so I signed up to do radio, and from there learned how to do it right and everything, and did it for a year. Then I said, nah, I don't do this, and got into teaching and coaching. Mm-hmm. And so now my teaching and coaching is over, and I said, hey, I got experience with radio. Let's do a podcast. So
yeah, love that.
All right, man. But yeah, you're not like me. You get I got the face of a radio, they would say, but you definitely got the voice for a radio. So we can work together here.
Awesome.
All right, then. I love you. Inspire logo in the back. You can explain how that come about here and as we go along. But as before, I tell people and told you, pretty much the show is yours. You take us, put us where we need to be at, and we'll ask questions as we go along.
Yeah. Well, and you talk all about perseverance. Well, you mentioned the $3 bucket of golf balls, and that was August of 2003. Definitely a low point in my life because I've managed to do all of those things. I was a radio DJ or in radio for 10 years, comedy writer. I owned my own DJ company for 28 and a half years. I published 4 books so far, okay. And I did stand-up comedy for 7 years. But in between each thing, there was usually a horrific crash and burn. And right around the early 2000s was one of those. I was burned out, frustrated, and I walked away from radio. So I had no full-time job. Went through a divorce. My first marriage ended. Any shred of financial stability got flushed right down the toilet. And I had to move back in and live with family on a very hot and humid August 2003 afternoon. I was driving by this little mini golf place and they had a driving range. And my self-talk at the time, and for any of your listeners, if your self-talk is as poisonous as mine was, I urge you to work your way through that because that's a very bad thing to do to yourself. So all my self-loathing and all my bad self-talk, I figured I'd just get it out on a $3 bucket of golf balls. And being the type of golfer I am, which is horrible, I went to the farthest tee box on the property up against the netting so I wouldn't dent anyone's car in the parking lot.
There
And I
you
was
go.
underneath a string of these big steel towered power lines, and a thunderstorm came out. So everybody else ran from the storm, but I hated my life so much, I just held the club up and said, "Go ahead. I dare you. I dare you to
There
hit
you
me."
go. It reminds me of the show Caddyshack when that was going on. You remember that?
Exactly. Yeah, when the bishop yells rat farts and then he gets
That's
struck by
it. Yeah.
lightning. Yep.
Hey, before you go any further,
Yeah.
you did say perseverance. So hold on, let me give you a fist bump.
Yep.
We got a
Nice.
little delay in my system today. It looks like
That's all right.
so. Pansy Sleep, thank you for coming in. She said, "Hey guys, finally catching the show here." Pansy, thank
Nice.
you. She's been on my show before as well. All right,
Awesome.
so the bucket of balls and you're daring the Almighty One do something if you can. Okay.
Yep. Yep. So I hit my full bucket of golf balls and it's still pouring and I'm there barefoot in the wet grass under the power lines. And I looked a couple of stalls over and two guys that had just gotten there when the storm started. They ran away and never came back and they left their 2 buckets of golf balls. So I spent an hour just whacking the crap out of some golf balls. And when I finished, I got back to my car, and just as I opened the door, the rain stopped, and the first couple little tiny rays of light started coming through the black clouds. And
Mhm.
I just smiled and started laughing. I thought that was funny. You know, I'm all done, and now God's going to stop the thunderstorm. And the next day, I was on the phone with a brand new life coach I just started working with. And he said, "How was your week?" And I said, "Listen to what this dumbass did yesterday." And I told him the story of the lightning and the golf
Mhm.
balls and all that. And he was laughing so hard, which is something as a coach I would never do to my clients when their life sucks.
That's right.
But he was laughing like crazy. He says, "I got 2 questions for you. Are you this open and honest about your life with pretty much anybody?" I said, "Yeah." And he asked, "Have you ever thought of being a motivational speaker or stand-up comedian? I think you'd really enjoy both." He didn't know those were 2 of my goals when I was 11. He had no idea.
Mhm.
But he saw this early version of an ability to be a storyteller and a funny guy and a positive guy. And 2 weeks later, I was in my first stand-up comedy class, and a week after that, my first Toastmasters meeting. Within a year, I was actually getting paid, not much, to do both.
There you go. It's awesome. Yeah, I went through Toastmasters as well because
Yep.
my quick little story is I attempted suicide 3 times in 3 days. That's how
Ooh.
bad I wanted out. And the
Yeah.
last time they found me sucking carbon monoxide out of my van in the garage, unresponsive, and they got me to the hospital.
Wow.
And I spent 7 weeks in there. When they first got me there, I spent 4 hours in a hyperbaric chamber, forcing oxygen in my body and carbon monoxide out. 7 weeks there. But I tell people, when you live through a suicide attempt, they make you see a psychiatrist. Okay. And this guy here is the one that said, "James, for whatever reason, God didn't take you. You have something, a story you need to tell. You need to get out there and tell other people. You need to spread your message." And so that's how I got into Toastmaster as well,
Wow.
that way. And the storytelling thing, that's an art. People don't realize that's just not happening naturally. Well, some people it's natural, but a lot of people it's art. You got to learn it. And I remember when I was 11, 12 years old, I was telling you about my dad. He loved me when I needed, busted my butt when I needed, and I needed it. And I remember one time I was 11 years old, and he said, and he said, "Hey, boy, as much as you lie around here, you're going to make a great storyteller one day." So I got practice storytelling early and Toastmaster later.
Yep. Nice. I
All right,
love
go
that.
ahead. Go ahead, man.
Yeah. So I started doing stand-up comedy and started speaking. And one thing I encourage people, when you try and you start something new, and that's why I get this from people all the time. They go, "I want to start a podcast, but I'm afraid my first episode is going to suck. I want to get on stage, but I'm afraid my first speeches aren't going to be very good." And I always tell them, I said, take the word maybe out of it. Your first podcast is going to be horrible, and your first time on stage is going to be terrible.
Exactly.
But you know what? Don't ever record everything you do. Don't ever delete them. But also, when you go back to compare yourself to where you were when you started, don't say, "Oh, I was terrible." And I used to do that. Believe me, my self-talk was toxic for years. Now I look back at these early things and I go, "Oh my gosh, that's adorable."
There you go. There you go.
So
Yeah.
give yourself some grace and understand this is a long haul here. And it's never going to be perfect, but just be the best version of yourself and keep acclimating and growing into the vision. A lot of stuff I do, you can see my t-shirt says "Got Vision."
Yeah.
I'm the vision board guy. I'm into visualization, law of attraction. I teach it in a very understandable way, because a lot of people go, "Oh, that's too woo woo for me." Never mind. I said, "Dude, come here, lean in. I'm blue collar woo. I come from a blue collar background, from a line of carpenters, and trust me, we're just gonna hand you the tools. We're gonna roll up our sleeves together, get down in the mud, and do some work together." So there's nothing woo woo about it, and it's all hard work, and you have got to do it.
Well, to give you something to look at, shoot for, because we're not going to remember everything in our heads. With this we want to do, this we want to do, and then 3 weeks later we forgot what we wanted to do. So it gives you a template, of what to do and everything. And like you said, Michael Jordan was those stories. He was cut as a freshman, ninth grader, from basketball. Then what he turned out to be after being cut. So we're going to, whatever first thing we tried new the first time, we're going to stink at it probably. But if we enjoyed it enough, we'll build on it and get better.
Yeah, absolutely. And
hey,
I compare
Pansy,
it to,
you need to get on your comic side there, Pansy. All right, go ahead.
yeah, and I compare this to an old wooden roller coaster, and I got inspired right about that same summer, right? Just the night my ex-wife and I decided to get a divorce. I had to go to an amusement park because I told a friend I was going to meet her there for a Chamber of Commerce event or something, and I was miserable. And I went on the roller coaster because I just wanted to scream my brains out. And I got in the second seat of the front car, and I'm sitting there at the parking lot level, looking up at the top of the first hill, and I just took a picture of it. And a couple years later, that became one of my centerpiece stories, because no matter where you are, if you got a vision of how you want your life to be better in any area of your life, you're at the parking lot level. You're just getting started. You're just starting your podcast. You're just starting your speaking. You're just starting your first book, whatever. Top of that first hill is any one of your goals, but you can't just snap your fingers and get there. You got to take some ugly first steps, but you got to go click, 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 click. And you can't achieve it if you don't do every single step. And you also want to make sure you surround yourself with only the best people in the car, because nobody wants to listen to you complaining all the way up that first hill. Those
That's
people
right.
are invited to get off my ride now. I boot people right out of my life, and I have. I've shed a ton of weight of names in my phone over the years of people who are not going to be beneficial to where I wanted to go in my life. And there's no emotion to it. There's just, you're with me or you're not. And that's okay.
Well, we should be here to help each other be the best that we can be. And if someone's being the lead dead rock and not doing their part to help me, why should I help them? And so we're both not benefiting each other. So, yep, I hope the best for you. I'm moving on. I hope the best for you, and do the best you can.
Yep. Go have a great life, but don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you.
That's
somebody,
right. That's
somebody
right.
told me that years ago, and I love that line. I just
Yeah,
think that's great.
I remember the first time I heard that say, my younger brother said it, and I was going, huh? So it was, I remember him saying that. So also, I'm looking over here, and you keep on with your journey here. But you said some days your Phoenix rides as a pogo stick.
Yeah. Yeah. That's something that came out of that era of my life as well. And, we see people fall in their lives. Maybe something happens to them in life, or maybe an illness, an injury, or a loss of a job, or a relationship falls apart. And all of a sudden they take a tumble and they're back in the ashes for a while. But as soon as they take one step, so many people look at them and they go, "Oh, you're like the mighty Phoenix rising from the ashes, and everything's going to be great now." To which I say, no, because it doesn't, you're never one and done. Hollywood might let you think that way because of the way that all the movies go.
Yeah.
But you're never one and done. I mean, you're just one decision away or one life situation away from tumbling back in the ashes. So you got to be resilient. You got to persevere. So the way I explained it was, I just said it one day in a conversation. I said, "Hey, man, my Phoenix ride's a pogo stick." And somebody started laughing, and they said, "What the heck does that mean?"
Yeah.
I said, "You can fly out of the ashes. Your tail feathers burn off." And some people just say, "Well, I guess I'm not meant to succeed." So they just stay in the ashes. Well, that's no fun. Keep bouncing back, because every time you burn your tail feathers off, when they grow back, they're stronger. The colors are brighter because you got the experience now, and you can fly higher every time. So just keep bouncing back no matter what life throws at you. And for somebody like me and somebody like you, heck, that which does not kill us gives us a great story to share on a microphone or on a camera or on a stage. So I take pride in how many ways my life has fallen back into the fire, because I'm always going to persevere. I'm always going to be resilient, and I'm always going to capture that story to help other people who might feel stuck in the fire, to just show them a way out, and that it's okay to fail. It's what you do with it and what you learn from it, and then what you can share with other people. That's what's going to help you fly higher.
There you go. And yeah, I'm like you. Anybody, if you think you're suicidal, please go talk to someone, get some help. Okay, which I didn't, but
Yeah.
please go do that and get some assistance. Again, call them suicide hotlines. You don't have to give them your name. You can lie about everything else, but be truthful what's going on so they can help you. And same thing with me. Not that I wanted to go through this, but it's part of my story now, and it's part of my journey, and it's to help other people get through things like that. So
Yeah. 10 years from now, somebody could either call you or reach out to you or something and say, hey, you know what? I heard your podcast a number of years ago, and something recently happened, and I thought about it, or I attempted, and I just wanted to let you know something you said woke me up, and I went and sought help. I made a phone call. I got some counseling, and now I'm okay. And I just wanted to reach out and say thank you. So we all have the opportunity to put some positive ripples out there. I had a guy walk past me in a grocery store one time. I was in the Captain Crunch aisle getting some breakfast bars in between meetings, and I'm walking.
I gotta have that peanut butter Captain Crunch. That's my favorite.
Oh, see, I was a Crunch Berry guy, so I've got an organ donor card. I'm going to leave the roof of my mouth to somebody who destroyed theirs eating Captain Crunch.
There you go. That's right.
This guy walks past me and he turns around and he goes, "Hey, man, you're that speaker, right?" I turn around. We're the only two people in the aisle. I said, "Yes, sir, I'm a speaker. What story do you remember?" And he said, "The monster truck couple," which is one of my stories that just talks about wherever you are, plug into the energy of the most positive people around you, and you're going to increase your experience. He says, monster truck couple. He described the picture that had been on the screen, the story that I told, the lesson behind it, and how he applied it a week after he heard me speak to land a job, because I was speaking for 85 unemployed people for free. I did 43 events for the state of Mass and state of New Hampshire in about a 3-year period, all for free, because these people were just down and I'd been there. So I just wanted to give back. And this guy remembered, applied the lesson, got a job. And I asked him, "Sir, how long ago was that?" He did the math in his head real quick. He said, 3 years. I said, "I can't believe you remembered." He said, "I can't believe I recognize you in the cereal aisle." And here we are. And yeah, big handshake. And I was so proud of him that he just took a lesson and he went and took the action, because that's where most people fail, is they don't, it sounds good. They get fired up by a speaker, but to go and actually do it and take the action. Amen. God love you.
I mean, how many times awesome. we know we're reaching people, but we never hear anything from anybody. We do they'll plant the seed, we water it a little bit, but when we hear we actually did help someone, then it makes us feel better. Again, not that we're supposed to know that, not that we're supposed to live off that, but there's times, my example is, there's twice I go, "God, I'm tired of this. I'm not doing anything big. I ain't touching anybody. I'm done with my speaking career. Forget this." Now, this is a year apart. I'll give you these two people I met gave the same answer a year apart. So, but I was at the store one day and I had my service dog, Ricardo, with me, and a woman goes by and she says, "Hey, there's Ricardo." I said, "You met Ricardo?" I said, "Shoot, he meets so many people. I can't keep up with everybody." She goes, "No, first time I've met him." I said, "But he was on your book." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, you read my book?" I said, "If you don't mind, could you tell me how you got it? Did someone refer it to you? Do you Google it and it came up? Did you find it laying in a trash can? Someone threw it away?" And well, now, before I tell you the answer, a year later, because after that, I'm going, "Well, God, I guess I am right." So a year later, same thing. I'm done with this. I'm not touching anybody. Go to the store. All of a sudden, this guy comes by and, "Mr. Purdue, Mr. Purdue." So when I hear Mr., I think of one of my former students. Well, I turn around. I have no idea who he is. And he says, "I just want to let you know, I read your book 4 times, and you're going to help me in life. Your book's going to help me." And first thing in my head, I didn't say it out loud. First thing in my head, I go, bullshit. You didn't read that book 4 times, you know. But I asked him the same question: how'd you find it? How'd you get it? Find it laying in the gutter, trash, whatever. Here, both answers were the same. And after that answer matched the first one a year earlier, I thought, all right, God, you just kicking me in the butt. I know you're trying to prove a point. But both of them said I was locked up in the county jail, and I read your book while I was locked up.
Wow.
My book is in the library at the county jail. So after the guy told me that, I didn't say it out loud, but I thought, yeah, he probably did read it 4 times. Probably had plenty of time, you know.
Yeah.
But after that, I said, all right, God, you don't have to kick me in the butt no more. I understand. I don't have to understand everything and know who I'm being touched. Even though greedy, selfishly, I would like to know. But yeah, we don't have to know that. And with that guy giving you that same, thing, that he remembers you and you helped him, you didn't need to know it. But I know it felt good that you know what you're doing is really working.
Yeah. And that was 13 years ago that I even ran into him, which means it was 16 years ago that he heard me speak.
Yeah.
And this past year has been the most difficult in my life. I lost my beautiful wife, Tina, early December of last year, unexpectedly and suddenly. And it's been a very tough year. But even every time I get to share that story, it reminds me of there's this whole new thing to persevere through and to come back from and getting tossed back down in the ashes again. But there's so many other people who don't have the support that I have of family and friends who've kept me going this year. So now it's upon me to share that story authentically, genuinely, vulnerably to help some other people. Because I know so many people that have lost somebody important to them. They don't have anyone. They don't have a network of people. And there's that gift is in it to be able to help other people. So I've been on podcasts all around the world, over 300 podcasts over the past 20 years. And now I'm getting busier on the grief journey circuit as well.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that happens to us, boy, if we can learn something from it, I believe it's upon us when we get back in line for the roller coaster and we're starting back at the bottom again, to turn around and look for somebody in that line who looks really scared, who's on it for the first time, and invite them to sit next to us and be able to share how we persevere through stuff.
Well, like you said earlier, if you think you're out of the ashes for good and everything's going to smooth sailing, whatever, life's going to come around again and kick you in the teeth. And some of it is brought on from our own decisions, but a bunch of it is just we weren't prepared unexpectedly and things. But yeah, don't think once you get through, hey, all right, the rest of my life is smooth sailing.
Yep.
That sail is going to break, going to get a hole in it somewhere, and you're going to get off course and something else is going to happen. It's just the way it is. I don't want to sound negative, but that's true in life. Okay. Yep. And it's a shame. Some of us in life experience more than others, but for whatever it is, it happens. So,
yeah, I've always got a pen and paper nearby, and somebody, and I always love it. I shared this with somebody just this morning. I said, I always laugh when people ask me, "Hey, Steve, how do you make up those stories you share on stage?" And I stare at them like a puppy, and then I tilt my head. And if I could get one ear to flop down, I would, because it would be adorable.
Yeah.
I go, have you not been paying attention to my life over the past 25 years?
That's right.
I don't need to make up a thing. I just take a lot of notes. And that's led to everything I talk about on stage. It's led to my entire, I teach a whole course on how to use visualization now, all from putting my own life back together in a very ugly, not very methodical way in the early 2000s. But if you survive something, then I believe you have a duty, whether you do it for a career or not, you have a duty to help somebody else who's on the same journey who may not be as hopeful as you were.
Yeah.
And boy, that little spark that they have, they want something better, but they don't have any fuel to put on it. That's why the trademark of my speaking career it's called motivational firewood. I hand out tips, tactics, stories, lessons, instruction, or just a good tale or two. And if you add it to the spark in your heart and you take action and do something, then rock on. God love you.
Just think if you get about 80 years old, you'll be sitting in front of your closest store whittling, spitting tobacco, and you be just sit there all day telling you stories. People walking by.
Yep.
Andy Griffith style.
Oh, it's that whole era is just one of the greatest eras. It's storytelling, it's positivity, it's picking people up, cheering people on. And as divided as the world is these days, I still have that mindset where I just, no matter where I am, I just look around for an opportunity to leave a plus sign trailing behind me. Because I'm never going to run out. I own the factory. I'm like the Keebler elves baking cookies out of a tree. I'm never going to run out of resources.
I hear you. Yeah, it's definitely our TV shows are not where I would like them to be. And of course, I'm getting old and gonna be extinct here soon. But yeah, I'm in the old Andy Griffith, Leave It to Beaver stuff, and this new stuff where it's so sexually whatever hidden, and you figure it out. That's just not for me. So.
Yep. I wrap my lessons in humor and, responsible, appropriate humor.
Yeah.
And I just find that works best. I mean, I grew up on sitcoms. MASH is still my favorite TV show of all times. It is. It deals with carnage and horrible things, but with humor, everybody survived it. And that's how I
Alan Alda, what's his name on there?
Hawkeye Pierce.
Hawkeye. I know he was the main, but I prefer going over to Frank Burns.
Yep.
So, I mean, not to say Hawkeye wouldn't, he was still great.
Yep.
But I like me some Frank Burns back there. And they say off camera and they're off stage, he's the nicest.
Yes.
Help anybody for everything. Well, he was alive, but he wasn't one of them. What he portrays on TV, he was the nicest it could be and everything. So, but yeah, I'll go for me some Frank Burns there.
Yep.
So, all right. Well, yeah, I'm like you. We got to be able to laugh at some of our failures to help somebody. Hey, Pansy, she agrees with MASH too as well. So, Pansy, hey, before I forget, now put your podcast name down there and let me push that out for you before you get off here. So, but I'm like you, Steve, that when we get through everything, and we're going to get through it, okay, and we need to share it, help other people, and the easiest way for people to learn is when you have humor with it.
Yep.
Okay, not be so down and drug out, and because now they're going, hey, did he really heal from it? It don't sound like he has. Because you're so bitter and everything. We got to throw in humor, be upbeat about it. You don't have to like what you went through. You don't have to love anything you went through, but you need to love yourself that you did make it through it. Now, let me help the next person as well. And you may not be able to help that next person 4 or 5 years from now, but knowing that you're going to be able to.
Yeah. And I've had people, the podcast that I've been on, I've had people say, well, Steve, they have, whether it's psychic abilities or channeling or whatever it is, they can sense the energy and, and see people who have passed. And I always say the same thing. I go, look, while I am sharing the story of how Tina and I fell in love and I got to be head over heels in love with her for 6,386 days, that's 17 and a half years. I said, if you sense that there is a beautiful blue-eyed blonde angel wearing fabulous shoes and rolling her eyes like a gold medal Olympian if it was an event, that's my Tina. Because anytime I told our story, I'd come up out of the recording studio up to the living room off a podcast, and she'd say, how was it? I'd say, oh, it was awesome. She would always look at me and go, did you tell our story again? And I said, yep. And they loved it. And she would roll her eyes. She loved the story, but she used to ask me, aren't you tired of telling our story? And I said, baby, I've never told our story. I've relived it a few hundred times, but I've never actually told it.
Yeah.
I said, there's a difference. And I said, that's why people love our story. And I know you're so familiar with it and you're not all about attention or anything. I said, I tell our story to give other people hope. And I still do for that exact reason. People that have been through a difficult road in relationships, and Tina and I both had. I mean, we went to high school together and we lost contact after graduating in June of '86. We're in our separate ways. We we didn't have any communication for 21 years until after all that other stuff had collapsed in my life. And I worked on myself for 3 years, learned visualization, built my dream relationship, plus all the other areas of my life on my vision boards. And in early June of 07, I wrote in my journal, I am ready to fall in love. And 10 days later, I get an email from someone named Tina.
There you go.
And I almost deleted it as spam. I opened it up later that day and realized it was Tina from high school, who at that time was living in Florida. And over the course of the next few weeks, without even a picture of her, because she wouldn't send one, I was remembering I had a crush on her in high school, but never asked her out. And a month later, she admitted to me how she'd felt. And we fell in love with our eyes closed and hearts wide open that summer of 2007.
It reminds me of a friend I met when I was teaching. His wife was a teacher assistant. We became good friends, but her and her husband, they had both dated in high school, went their separate ways, both had married, both had divorced, and somehow they got back together from all that. And she passed away a few years ago from aneurysm, brain aneurysm. But the most, I don't say the most everything, but one of the most godly women. She was God-fearing. And her husband, Marty and Cena. Their name was Marty and Cena. Cena Marty. Well, that's the last name. Is Marty Gina Cena. That's their name. Yeah.
Wow.
Marty Gina Cena was the last name. Yeah. So, Hey, Payne, to put the name of your podcast so I can say it out loud for people to see. Thank you for the links, though. All right. People need to hear the stories, read the stories. Okay. And to get, I wouldn't be where I'm at if it went for me seeing, when I first got hurt, there's nobody where I live that I know a spinal cord injury. So we were doing everything out of trial and error, and found out there's things I was doing, found out from rehab, you're not supposed to be able to do that. Why not? And they had their own spinal cord, what you can do and can't do from things. And I go, and they showed it to him and said, well, I'm doing that, and showed them. And one of them was driving at my level of injury, said not supposed to be able to drive. So trial and error, we learned from that. But it was great when I first started meeting other spinal cord injuries and finding out things that I've never even thought of that we could do. And so to hear their stories and to build on it and go from there. Same thing as all your stories, people are going to hear it. They're going to relate to it somewhere, somehow, with the relationships and their bucket of balls with the electric storm going on, And so, we definitely need to share more of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember Tina saying, anytime we had a thunderstorm near our house, I'd be sitting on the front steps, which is concrete steps with wrought iron railings. She's tapping on the window, and I'm like, don't look around, because she's going to say, get your butt in the house. God gave you that one, but he ain't going to let you do it again. Well,
that's right.
We had a thunderstorm a couple months ago here in the middle of the summer, and I'm on the front steps making a video for social media. And in the middle of the video, I say, and if Tina was here right now, she'd be tapping on that window behind me saying, get your butt in the house. So I wrapped up the video. I went in the house. I went out back on the 3-season porch. Of course, I got my arm holding an aluminum storm door open so I can film the rain coming down and the lightning. And I closed the door and I sat on the chair. And as the video was rendering, I looked up in the woods just in time to see a bolt of lightning hit the ground 40 feet from the house. Bright light, huge, loud bang. The smell, which I had to look up, it's the smell of actually ozone that has traveled all the way down from the sky, burning.
Yeah.
And scared the heck out of the cat. But all I could think of was, Tina was right. She says, you get your butt in the house. And then lightning hit.
I thought you were going to say she's not going to door and hollering, I'm hiding the golf clubs.
I still have that golf club I didn't have a whole set. I just had a lefty driver.
Yeah.
That I got at a secondhand store for like $13.
Yeah, I used to be left-handed. So after my injury, my right side's stronger. So I don't know.
Wow.
But left-handed naturally. So
yeah.
All right. So I would take that golf club. And put it in a case. Like, I got several baseball bats that have been signed by one of them, Dale Murphy. He needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
All right, got him and Ozzie Smith. So yeah, you need to put that into and put a little label. You know,
Yeah.
for when you're dead and gone, people's going to see what that golf club meant to you and where
Yeah.
it brought you to. Yeah,
Yeah.
I would get it framed somehow
Yeah.
like that. So
I bring it on
yeah.
stage with me sometimes. Matter of fact, I've got a keynote speech tomorrow. I got to remember to put the golf club in the
Oh
car.
yeah, I would definitely use that as a visual for
Yep.
them to see it. So there was one time I went to go. It was a Lions Club, and they invited me in because a guy from Nashville. I live outside of Nashville, Tennessee. He was coming in. He was blind,
Mhm.
but he was a blind golfer. So he was coming in to tell his stories, and he was funny. He put a ball down on the floor right there, and he's facing everybody over here. And all of a sudden, he takes a swing because he misses the ball. Apparently, he had enough vision he could see where the ball was, and everybody ducking, thinking that he didn't hit it. So, part of that visual and
Yeah.
humor, to kick things off.
Yeah.
We got to have that. So,
Yep.
I
Always.
think part of our system, society, communities, we're losing too much of our humor.
Yeah.
Everything doesn't have to be so dramatic and hateful.
Yep.
So from there,
Yeah.
all
100%.
right. Well, Steve, man, shoot, I'm enjoying this and everything. I know Pansy is. She says she loves a good thunderstorm. Set aside the summer through a thunderstorm.
Right.
So, all right. But this has been awesome. So up now, let me ask you this: when you're telling your story, and I forgot your wife's name,
Tina.
Tina, has she ever been there when you told the story, or has she come on stage and helped tell the story? Did that ever
Never.
happen? Okay.
No. Matter of fact, early on in our relationship, I wound up getting invited onto 4 different shows back when Oprah had a whole channel on XM radio back in the day. And I got invited on 4 call-in shows. And I said, one of these days, babe, we're going to parlay this up to a TV appearance when Oprah does a whole Law of Attraction special. And she goes, I'm
Yeah.
not going to be there.
Uh,
I said, you have to be. She goes, well, I'm going to wear a brown paper bag over my head. I'm like, you can't. You're the cute one.
that's right. That's
And
right.
she said, no way. And she came with me to a few speaking events, but she would not be in the room. She was just so shy and humble
Yeah.
because she didn't want any attention from it. She goes, I'm going to blush 20 shades of red. I said, babe,
They
our
know
story
who
gives
I
people
am.
hope.
They know who I am
Yeah.
from the blushing.
But,
So
yeah.
no, that's okay. There's nothing wrong
Yep.
with that. So
Yep.
again, not everybody has to be able to tell the story, but she
Right.
can. What I learned one time I went on a mission trip, and where we went, we weren't allowed to technically preach the gospel,
Mhm.
but they said we can do our Christian walk, where they can say, and people recognize that. Okay. And the reason I could say that for sure, I didn't preach anything out there, but I was coaching our basketball team.
Mhm.
And one guy came to me and wanted to leave their country to come here to be a Christian like me. And I'm going, I didn't say anything. How did he see? And he saw that through, with God working, Jesus working through me. Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't me, it's just working through me. And so, but yeah, people see that. So she didn't have to tell the story. People can recognize how happy she is around you and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And they know something's good that came out,
Yeah.
for y'all getting together.
Yeah.
So
We held hands everywhere we went, 17 and a half years in. And we knew that summer of 07, and I've saved a bunch of emails from back then. We were already saying, we're still going to be holding hands when we're 80 years old. And
there you go.
It was just an amazing 6,386 days. And I feel blessed every day. As heartbroken as I am that she's not here physically anymore, she has shown me many times already that she is still here with me.
Yeah.
In our home, especially. And
Now,
I'm
what
blessed.
she passed away from?
She had ischemic heart disease, and
Okay.
we didn't know it was as bad as it was. And she'd also been struggling with side effects of menopause for over 2 years. So she was not sleeping, and it racked her really hard, and the stress of work and everything. And, we actually flew to England. We landed there on the morning of December 8th, and 24 hours later, she passed away.
Hmm.
In our hotel room while I was down at the gym. I came back up.
Yeah, I
She
remember
still
the
had a
note you talked
pulse.
about being the 1,800 miles away. I
Yeah.
remember you mentioned that in your note
Yeah.
you sent to me.
Yeah.
Pansy, no, I'm not going to. I didn't know that event was going on in Nashville. I have to check it out and see what's going on. Appreciate you sharing that with me. So yeah, I love the story, the part that you said we'll still be holding hands at 80. So
Yeah.
it's I love seeing the elderly, the older, and they're still even if they're in a nursing home and both of them have lost their spouses, but then you got boyfriend, girlfriend, and they're
Yep.
just sitting there, because we desire that touch,
Yep.
human touch. And so I learned that, all right, I'm going to tell for the other ones, close your ears. You don't want to hear this. But I remember I was like 12 years old. My granddad was in the nursing home and he had a massive stroke and heart attack. And he was in bed and had one leg amputated above his knee from it. And I remember one time I was visiting, my grandmother was there and she had turned her back to him, get something out of the dresser for him. And I remember seeing him taking his right hand, reaching over there. He wanted to touch her butt. And she wasn't close enough for him to touch that butt. And I was saying to myself, and I'm 12 years old, back up, Nanny. Back up, Nanny. I was saying to myself, not out loud, back up, Nanny. Back up, Nanny. And she just didn't back up at that time. So I remember going to act like I was changing the channel to the TV to get her to take one big step back. So I didn't get to see if he touched, but I know he was reaching for that. And
Yep.
way to go, Pap.
Yeah. Score you an assist for that one. I
Yes, there
love
you
that.
go.
I
So
love that.
yeah,
Yep.
it just to keep that love going and
Yeah.
at that
And
age.
that's their love language too, is the magic of touch. And that's something I actually just told somebody a couple hours ago on social media. It's a dear friend of mine who I met back in my comedy days. And I said, it's one thing when you know what your own love language is, which I believe not enough people do, but to know the love language of your partner, which is even more rare. Tina and I knew each other's love language. It was simple gestures. It was touching. It was holding hands. It was little love notes. It was just the little stuff like that. We both, every single day, made an effort to speak that love language fluently. And that's what made our love so amazing. There was no games. There was no BS. There was no drama. There was no living our life on social media, parading it like it was this big fake thing. It was real every day, right down to the foot rub that I gave her pretty much every night for the last 6 years we were together. Because prior to that, she wouldn't let me touch her feet. I love giving foot rubs. And I'd go,
Yeah.
babe, you want a foot rub? She'd go, nah. She didn't like her feet touched. Well, one night I headlocked her ankle and I started rubbing her foot. And she goes, oh my God, you're good at that.
That's right.
So, and I knew then, all right, touch, not
Where's
just holding
your
her hand,
magic
but
fingers at tonight,
magic
honey?
fingers. So the next night I'm sitting there ignoring her on the couch. Of course, I'm on my laptop trying to finish a project. And I see this little tiny foot come into my periphery and the toes start wiggling. I look at her and she goes, uh-huh.
That's right. See
So,
what you have born here. So
joyfully. Yep.
Not that I ever got back with my girlfriend in high school, which I wouldn't have minded. She passed away a year ago. So I remember going to her funeral. Even though we broke up, I remember, and I've never been married. She was married a few times, but she would still call and talk to me. And I was thinking that can't be good for them. But it was but for me to talk with her and everything. And so I got a thing last year that she had passed away and I went to her visitation and everything like that with her. So, so it's hard even to let the old love go, much less the love going on. And you mentioned it a second ago. I want to bring it before I forget. You said the effort. We all had the effort to make this love continue. You got to take that first step and continue. It's not going to happen magically. It's not going to happen if you don't do your part.
Yeah. And so many people are out there going, well, remember, relationships are 50-50. No. The right ones are 100-100. You don't just say, well, I'll be nice to you if you're nice to me first. Nope. Right out the window. Just be nice, be kind, be loving, be fair, be accepting, be willing. And I used to leave Tina these little, we had 4 or 5 different sticky note pads in our kitchen drawer, all different colors. And I would come downstairs early for my workout. And when I was finishing up my workout, making a fruit and veggie smoothie and stuff, I could hear Tina upstairs getting ready for work because we both worked from home. So she had her office on the first floor. And I would scribble out a little love note and leave it in her laptop or hanging off her lamp or one of her monitors or somewhere in her office. Well, after she passed away, when I finally got home from England, which took 2.5 weeks, I was going through her desk and I found a folder with between 50 and 60 of those notes. She had kept them all because they were special to her. And I found a big picture frame in our basement that didn't have anything in it. She just bought the frame. I took 41 of those notes, and it's a big collage that's now hanging on the wall in her office, right next to our Peloton cycle. So I get to see it every single morning and just remember how important that was to her. And it just
while
brings
you're
me joy.
cycling, you're looking at her love.
Yeah.
So
and just talking to her
cool.
while I'm there.
This is cool, man. This is awesome.
Yeah.
So, hey, Pains, we're getting ready to get off here. Hey, go ahead and give me your podcast name typed on there so I can tell everybody. And thanks for sharing the links, but put the name of your podcast so I can share it. So, all right. Woo, Steve, I tell you what, you got a lot to, still got a lot to go in life, helping other people. And again, using your humor, your stories. That's why we tell our stories, is to make people realize life is still worth going after and everything. And I really appreciate whatever happened in life, you still were able to do, like your 11-year-old being a DJ and author, stand-up comedian. And we're all teaching somewhere, somehow. Yep. I don't care if you're the bad teacher, somebody's watching to see how you do things. Yep. And that's the ones we learn from to run and not do. But we're all teachers. So.
Yeah. Something Ed Milet says, the greatest lessons are caught, not taught. Meaning, even if you don't think you're a teacher, people are watching what you're doing. And your actions today could inspire somebody else to go do something positive. So please keep that in mind when you're out there in the world. As unfair as you may feel the world is sometimes, or as bad as things have been going for you, just remember, you have the opportunity to teach a lesson today by doing the right thing, even when you don't think anybody else is watching. And that's a good thing to do. It's a good way to go through life. Just try to drop a couple plus signs behind you, because you never know where the ripples go.
Never know where the ripples go. So it can actually jump your pond into somebody else's. Mm-hmm. So there we go. All right. Hey, Steve, go ahead and tell us your social media and stuff, people to get hold of you. Maybe they want to get you as a consultant or a coach, life coach, or hire you for their next motivational event.
Oh, that'd be great. On social media, you can find me pretty much on Facebook and LinkedIn. Just look up Steve Gamlin, Gamlin. And my website, we have got a brand new one that's going to be launching very soon. We're in the final round of edits, and that is stevegamlinspeaker.com.
All right, there. Good job. I'm still liking that radio voice. I got this old Nashville country Southern voice, which makes me a little different than the others. So from there.
Well, just remember, no matter what you think you have for an accent, people in other parts of the world think your accent is awesome. And I learned that when I had a show for 5 years on a streaming station in England. And I told them once in a meeting, I could listen to your voices all day. They are amazing. And one of the ladies piped up and said, really, our accents are boring. We love yours.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So I never thought of it that way, but yeah, because I'm like you, I hear other people's accent and thinking, boy, that's pretty cool. So it's no telling what they're saying about my Southern drawl.
Yeah.
So,
I was on 2 shows in Australia recently, and one of them was great because it's a 5-minute show. And the host says, all right, I'm going to introduce you. Then I'll ask you a question. Then you answer it. Then we say goodbye. It was awesome because I got to hear his accent. And afterward, he's like, I love your radio voice.
Yeah.
I love yours.
That's right.
See, we just got this wonder about each other. So never be afraid to share who you are with the world.
I love the accent you're doing that are not your accent.
Yeah.
You do pretty good. I can tell you practice.
Thank you. Yeah, I have, believe me, because I put it past a few Australian people. I'm like, is that buyable? They go, well, it's an Outback accent. So yeah, it's all right.
There you go. The only thing I know about Outback is Crocodile Dundee.
Yes. Yes.
That's all
exactly.
I know. So All right, Steve. Hey, I appreciate you being here and getting us fired up a little bit and going from there. Hey, leave us. You've already gave us a big message, but if you can leave us with a positive message, people are hurting and struggling.
Yeah.
We can go in from there.
You got it. This is one of the biggest lessons. One of the books I wrote was actually me writing as a little rescue Dorky Pomeranian that my wife and her mother had adopted. His name was Super Teddy, and he wrote a book called Super Teddy's Top 20 Tips to Be as Happy as Dogs. And it was called Bust Out of Your Crate. And it said this: wake up every day and wag yourself happy, meaning when you get up in the morning, if your faith is important to you, read something from whatever your good book is. If you want to laugh, watch some funny videos on YouTube. If you want to meditate, listen to some calming music. But aim for the good stuff first thing to kick off your day. Don't start with the news or talk radio or anything like that. Wake up every day and wag yourself happy on purpose, with purpose, and you're going to have a heck of a start to your day.
Amen, brother. I stay away from that news until I just have to get it right before dinner time so I can choke something down. Just, I hate it when they go, hey, we got a positive story for today and do a minute and a half, but they spend 18 minutes of terrible stuff going on out there.
Yeah.
So I wish it'd be the other way around, but I don't know if it ever get that way, but that's what I wish. But
I used to have a stage story about that. I said, just as the credits are rolling and you found out what dress the female newscaster is wearing and who did her hair, they go, oh, wait a second, we got something positive. I said, so you know what you do? You DVR the news, you fast forward to 57 and a half minutes in, and then you just watch the rest.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly correct. All right, thanks, Steve. Man, you had fired me up. Everybody else, Steve Gamlin, Gamlin. So be sure to check him out. Again, you need to be able to fire me up. And before we get out of here, Steve, I can't let you get out of here because you told me you were going to explain your Inspire sign behind you.
Yeah.
And I'm not letting you get away with it. I look back there and go, wait a minute, we hadn't talked about that.
Yep.
And because you was telling me, because I told you to stop telling me so I could hear it for the first time like everybody else.
Yep. That was a gift from my beautiful Tina about 6 years ago, right after we had moved into this home. And I took a quarter of our basement and made a recording studio in here. And she surprised me one day with that. She said, I don't know where you want to put it, but I bought this for your recording studio. And when I remodeled the wall behind me earlier this year, that was the first thing that went on the wall, and I just built everything else around it. I said, that has got to be the first brick in my foundation, because that was a gift from Tina. She bought me several gifts that had that word in common. They all had the word inspire on it, and she loved that I loved what I do. And I made a big promise to her in January of 2023, because with the pandemic, and Tina was the fourth death of people close to me inside of 6 years. And she promised me one day, she goes, can this be the year that you get famous again so I can quit my job and get something less stressful? Because she believed in me when I didn't. And she bought me that light. So that's why it's so important for me to have that here in the studio.
And that's a good, inspiring story for us to end on. So, and I'm glad that your better half had that much admiration to understand what your purpose is in inspiring people, because she was getting this inspiration and she wants you to be able to share with the world. So that's great to hear.
Yeah. Thank you.
So, all right, Steve, thank you for being here. Pansy, thank you for coming in. Hey, everybody else, go ahead and Google Pansy Sleep, last name Sleep, and see if she can help you with anything on her events and stuff like that she can do for you. And don't forget to Google, and I'll put stuff in the show notes as well, for Steve Gamlin, for him, in case you need a coach, life coach, next speaker coming up. So everybody else, I'm Dr. James Perdue, the professor of perseverance. Do something today, tomorrow. Uh-oh, where'd I click? Click something. There's something going on. Hey, it's nice sound though. All right. So I'm Dr. James Perdue, the professor of perseverance. Do something today, tomorrow, something next week is going to help you persevere past your paralysis.